Good afternoon, good morning, good night, whatever time it is that you are watching this PowerPoint presentation. Welcome to our history lesson for today. All right. So, what are we going to do today? We're going to be reviewing the ways that the Spanish was able to protect her monopoly in the 1500s. We're going to explain why other European countries might have wanted to challenge the monopoly. And we're going to examine ways in which other European countries actually attempted to challenge Spain's monopoly. So I want you to get your mind back into that place of monopoly, what it meant, and what did it mean specifically for the Spanish. So let's do a bit of review. I want you to pause the slide and try to match the following definitions with the correct protection measure. So I want you to try and match these. All right, so after pausing it, you should have come up with these answers. All ships passing through the New World had to pass through this, and that would have given you E, which is casa. Ships traveling from Spain twice a year with goods to our colonies should have given you A, which is the convoy system. Spanish coast guards patrolling the waters, preventing foreign traders from entering, should have given you Spanish cruiser fleets, which is C. Spain employing these people to enforce the law are the Spanish officials, which is B. Spain setting these things up and placing guns and men in them to guard the borders would be stone forts and castles, and that would have given you D. All right, so give yourself a round of applause if you got that answer or those answers correct. So these are just some of the places that Spain actually colonized in the Caribbean. So you have Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Darien, Cuba, Florida, New Spain, Peru, Trinidad and Tobago, and you'd see the reason as to why they would have colonized these areas. So most of them it was gold, others it was God, it was glory, etc., etc. So, just a reminder, we know that in 1494, the Treaty of Tordesillas was signed between Spain and Portugal. It stated that everything left of the line belonged to Portugal and everything right of the line belonged to Spain. All right, and after the Treaty of Tordesillas was signed in 1494, Spain closed all of the Caribbean Sea to any other kind of foreign traders. All right, any other kind of foreign traders. So who would have wanted to challenge Spain's monopoly? It would be other European countries. And you could kind of think about why they might want to what they might have wanted to challenge Spain's monopoly, right? Perhaps it had to do with jealousy. Because remember now, Spain is very rich at this time, and Spain has all of this God, all of this glory, all of this land. Land equals wealth, wealth equals power, and the other Europeans are going to be kind of jealous of that. But there are specific reasons why they would have wanted to challenge Spain's monopoly. Yes, jealousy played a part, but more specifically, you had religion. At first, Spain was able to colonize much of the New World using her Roman Catholic power. All right, Spain was very Roman Catholic, while other groups like the Dutch and the English were becoming increasingly Protestant. And when I say Protestant, I'm talking about they're moving more towards the Church of England, the Anglican Church. But Spain remained heavily Roman Catholic, and that was how Spain was able to colonize the territories in the Caribbean. The other countries were kind of jealous of that, or did not like that, and so they intentionally wanted to. They believed that the that Anglicanism or the Church of England was the right way to go, and not Roman Catholics. And so they're going to go against every other group that is Roman Catholic. So all of Spain's territories that were increasingly Roman Catholic, they would have wanted to go against. In addition, money was an issue. Money was a reason why they challenged Spain's monopoly. Other European powers wanted the wealth that Spain had, right? So we again said that land equals wealth and wealth equals power. If they were able to get that money and that wealth, they knew that they would eventually have the power. And thirdly, the Dutch was actually fighting for their independence from Spain. So that's why they challenged Spain's monopoly. They wanted to be independent. All right, they wanted to be free from Spanish rule. And so just as uh, we had our protection measures such as Casa, Convoy, Spanish cruiser fleet, Spanish officials, uh, storm forts and castles, here we have our challenge measures. All right, and the first challenge measure that we're going to talk about is privateers. All right, a privateer was a person who had been granted permission, and this permission was in the form of a letter of marque. All right, the letter of marque, and they got it from their individual countries to rob just Spanish ships. Their country received a portion of the gain. So whatever they robbed or whatever they stole from a Spanish ship, their country would get some portion of whatever it was. So countries like the English, the Dutch, and the French, they actually hired privateers to rob Spanish ships. And obviously this is going to weaken Spain's economy because that's them losing a lot of money. Think about it. If you own the shop and every month you continue to get robbed, right? You're continuing to lose money. You're wasting money, and then you're losing money as well that you could have been making. And this caused there to be great strife between the European powers. The second way that they would have tried to challenge Spain's monopoly is through pirates. So these are going to be very similar to privateers, except for one main difference. A pirate is a person without permission from their government to rob Spanish ships. Remember we said that privateers got permission through the letter of marque, but pirates did not get permission from their government, and they robbed any ship really. Okay, so privateers only robbed Spanish ships, while pirates robbed all ships. Privateers had permission, pirates did not have permission. Okay, privateers gave a portion of their gains to their government, while the pirates kept all of the gains for themselves. People from other European countries who rob Spanish ships at sea. Piracy is the robbing and fighting at sea by captains with the intent of making a profit. We know some of the famous pirates, right? You know, Blackbeard, Mary Read, Stede Bonnet, etc., etc. But there are key differences between pirates and privateers, as I would have mentioned. A rather important measure to challenge Spain's monopoly would have been the illegal traders. And I want you to think about what that probably means. Illegal traders. So these are people who are selling things illegally within the Spanish colonies. And the Portuguese were among the biggest of illegal traders in the 16th century. And the 16th century would be the 1500s. Um, Remember, we had the convoy system where the Spanish ships came with goods twice a year, and these goods were often very expensive and infrequent, meaning they did not come. They only came twice a year, so that's not enough time. So that gave way for more of the colonists, more of the people in the Caribbean to want to buy from these illegal traders. And so if I'm buying from illegal traders, if I'm buying from the illegal traders, is the Spanish getting any money? No, right? The Spanish is not going to be getting any money. And so that's causing Spain's economy to be weakened, and that's going to challenge her monopoly, her control of the trade in the Caribbean. Okay? Traders from other European countries came with goods at a much cheaper price and far more frequently. And so that's why a lot of them used to prefer to buy from the illegal traders. And so of the European challenge measures, the Dutch is the final, right? The Dutch as a whole challenge. The Dutch and Spanish were actually bitter enemies because remember we said that the Dutch wanted their uh, independence from Spain. The Dutch attacked the Spanish in Europe and drove them from the sea. Okay, so they were very adamant. They were very determined to drive the Spanish away from the sea. And they actually took over Spain's trade of salt and tobacco, specifically in Venezuela. So if I take over your trade, right? If I take over your trade, that means that you're not making as much money as you normally would, right? You're not making as much money as you normally would. And so the Dutch was a very, very strong tactic to break Spain's monopoly. They had more ships at sea, And so if the Spanish only has 2 ships and the Dutch has 10 ships, obviously one outweighs the other, and the Dutch is going to be able to drive them away from the sea. Okay, even though Spain had uh, control via the Treaty of Tordesillas. So yes, the European powers did challenge Spain's monopoly. However, Spain's monopoly was challenged by her own people. Remember those Spanish officials that she hired so that they could enforce the laws and ensure that people did not trade illegally, etc., etc. Uh-uh. The Spanish officials, they took bribes and they actually allowed foreigners to trade without asientos. And you should remember what asientos are. An asiento is a permission to trade, right? So those same illegal traders, they got permission from the Spanish officials after they would pay them a small bribe or sometimes a large bribe. But Spanish officials actually helped to break down Spain's monopoly. And again, hand in hand, they worked together. So Spanish officials, yes, but you also had the Spanish settlers. Because think about it, if the illegal traders come, who is buying from the illegal traders? The Spanish settlers, right? The people that are living in the Caribbean. And that's gonna contribute to the breakdown of Spain's monopoly because they're spending their money with the illegal traders as opposed to spending their money with the convoys or whatever else Spain is sending to make money, right? So they bought goods from illegal traders, and because I mean, can you blame them? Uh, the convoys were infrequent and very expensive. The illegal traders are coming like every day, and they got a can of corned beef for like $1.69, whereas the convoy is having for like $4.65. I think I'm gonna buy the $1.69 can of corned beef. I don't know. I'm just saying. Okay. So those are the main ways that Spain's monopoly was challenged. So let's fill in these blanks. Number one, what should you put? Number one, if you said pirates, if you said privateers, give yourself a round of applause. Number two, if you said pirates, give yourself a round of applause. Number three, if you said illegal traders, give yourself a round of applause. Number four, if you said the Dutch, give yourself a round of applause. Number five, the Spanish officials, yes. Number six, the Spanish colonists, very good. And so that is essentially, in a nutshell, uh, how Spain's monopoly was broken. All right, those main 6 ways Spain had to fight for a monopoly. That led to a lot of wars between the different countries. But these other countries, I want you to think about it. Which one of these do you think were the most effective?